Yeah, we are here. Happy Wednesday. At least that's when this is going to come out. Welcome to our playoff preview. It is me, my good man AJ. Hope y'all are doing well today. Make sure you stick around. Great episode ahead of you. You know, just dove into the NFL, current state of things. Talked about coaches, talked about players, talked about teams, all of the things, just for you guys. Make sure if you are not already subscribed on YouTube, subscribe there. Why not? Follow us on Spotify, subscribe on Apple, leave a review. 3 stars, 4 stars, maybe even 5 stars. Is this a 5-star podcast? I would like to think so. Make sure you drop a review there. It helps us a ton. Make sure you follow us on Twitter. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. Plan_C_podcast. Hit us up there. Shoot us a follow. You know the vibes. Anyway, Happy New Year. Welcome back to Plan C. This is gonna be a great year for us. Got a lot in store. Can't speak. Sorry, guys. But I'm looking forward to it. If you haven't already, make sure you check out previous episodes. We have episodes with artists, interviewing them. We have episodes talking about bullshit. We have episodes talking about movies, TV shows. It's all there, just waiting for you. And wait on some future episodes because we've got some pretty good stuff coming down the tube. Also, there is merch. I mean, it's not like made, but had some sweaters made up for some friends. Gave it to them. If y'all like them, make sure you hit us up about it, and we'll swing you one. Cause if you're a homie, you're a loyal listener, why the fuck not? Anyway, I'm babbling. We're gonna get into it. See you on the other side. Peace. Plan C. Back. Hope you enjoyed our lovely intro as always. Happy New Year, everyone. I probably say that in the intro, but it's okay. Happy New Year twice. Doing another NFL podcast with my good man AJ. AJ, how you doing today?
What's going on, Colin? How you doing, man?
Oh, chilling. I actually really had a great time with this last weekend of football. There were so many fun games, so many fun permutations and shit. So I'm in a good mood right now. AJ.
Glad you had a good weekend, man. I did not. All right. I was literally bouncing in the first round of every fantasy football playoffs I was in. I was in first place in 2 of them. My Colts lost to the Raiders on a very important game. The only good thing that came out of this weekend was Antonio Brown.
Yeah, right.
The only thing that kept me going.
Hella content on that end. So let's dive into it. Also, shout out my fantasy football team, Mike Vick in a box. We were in the championship, and before Sunday night, I had a 50% chance to win, but I probably should not have bet on a Vikings list or a Kirk Cousins list Vikings and a Browns team with Baker Mayfield. These things happen, but Nick Chubb and Justin Jefferson, love you guys, but these things happen.
Yeah, next year,
exactly. I always tell myself that. Okay, so coming into this week, this is going to sound really weird to say, but week 18 in the NFL. So the Green Bay Packers are the number 1 seed, and they've locked that up because they have wins over the Rams. And I think they don't have a tiebreaker over the Bucks, but I think there's a strength of schedule thing going on there. That's all wrapped up. It gets more interesting when you start looking down because you have a team like the Cardinals who were the number 1 seed and they were flying high and everything was baller, but now they're the 5th seed. And they can still climb to the division and catch the Rams, but I personally don't think they will.
No.
What's your thoughts on the NFC playoff matchups going forward here?
It's interesting. I've been surprised. I mean, the top teams, obviously, I think everybody kind of expected Green Bay, Los Angeles, and Tampa to remain at the top. I guess Dallas too. In all honesty, the wild card situation is a little more interesting to me. I think, I mean, the fact that New Orleans still has a chance, right? A small chance, but they still have a chance is pretty impressive. The 49ers, I think, being without Jimmy Garoppolo is actually it's kind of affected them a lot. But the Philadelphia Eagles, I'm happy. I'm happy for them.
Yeah, birds have clinched. It's official.
Even though Washington almost took out their starting quarterback for the season because their stadium is complete
I think
shit,
it could have been worse than that. That could have been a big lawsuit right there. Anyway, neither here nor there.
Still could be.
The Saints. That's a good jumping off point. So, my beloved Saints. We have dealt with 4 starting quarterbacks this year. Our defense is it you know, I'm not going to make comparisons or nothing here, but it's a stout MF and defense. So to get to the playoffs, they have to beat the Falcons this week, and they need a Jimmy Garoppolo-less 49ers team to lose to the Rams. So, you know, I'm actually feeling kind of good about that. Vikings lost, so they can't get in. Atlanta, not good enough. Same thing with the WFT. So it's really only the Saints and the 49ers. And I don't know. I like my odds, you know. And then we go in. We would play.
San Fran is playing the Rams too, so
yeah, exactly. It's like Trey Lance is going to be on a silver platter for Aaron Donald and the rest of them boys.
My dad's a huge 49ers fan, and he's convinced that the Rams have nothing to really play for, so he thinks they're going to sit their players. I'm just like, dude, they're not. It's not how it works. Trust me. Sorry.
Because if you're the Rams or the Buccaneers, you want to play the Saints, right? Like,
do you?
I mean, maybe what the Rams do, because I don't know if the Rams want to play the Eagles because of Jalen Hurts' ability as a running quarterback. Not necessarily his passing, but as a runner, he's pretty dangerous. And I think that can definitely slow down that pass. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. I think that because it's a quarterbackless Saints team, yes, I'm out on Taysom Hill. I've never really been in on Taysom Hill. Anyway, I think the Rams want to win that game. You know, you clinch the number 2 seed. You get the Saints at home with a quarterback who is terrible. I mean, I know Matthew Stafford's been slowed up a little bit, but I don't know. I would feel much better if I'm the Rams, if I'm facing the Saints rather than a Philadelphia Eagles team who have not only shown that they can block their ass off, but, they can also rush the football like hell. So, I don't know. That would worry me.
How would the seeding work? I mean, there's a chance that the 49ers could still be that 7th seed and play Los Angeles 2 weeks in a row, right? That could still happen.
I
guess I'd have to look at it. There's probably a lot of factors that go into it, but
no. So the way that would happen is if I think the 49ers would have to lose, the Eagles would have to win, and the Saints would have to lose.
Gotcha. Okay.
So
yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah, that's the way that would work.
I have genuinely no faith in any team in the NFC, to be honest. I think it's a complete toss-up, if I'm being honest. I mean, and it's been that way across the entire league this year.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I don't trust any of these teams week in and week out. Green Bay, yes, okay, maybe. But their recent playoff success does not inspire much hope. So I don't know. This could be a fun playoff It's going to be a fun playoff series for any of these NFC teams.
I do have this image in my mind of, of the Saints playing the Rams, because I don't think they can. The 2 teams they would play would be the Bucks or the Rams. No, actually, I don't think that's possible because the Rams have the tiebreaker on the Bucks. Yeah, so that's not possible. The only team the Saints can play in this situation would be the Rams, right? So I don't know, I could see it. The Saints they beat the hell out of Matthew Stafford. The Saints are able to get like an early field goal and it's 3-0 or 6-0 and the Saints just kind of rock with the rest of the game. I don't know. I could see it happening. Will
You
it?
can literally
Probably.
see it happen for any series.
That also is true because each team has pretty glaring weaknesses.
Yeah.
Right now Matthew Stafford for the Rams has not looked solid in tell me, when was the last time Matthew Stafford looked solid to you? Maybe Halloween? I don't
Very
know.
beginning of the season. He's got what,
Yeah,
5 picks in the last two weeks?
it's not good. It's not good. Tampa Bay, they have no wide receivers anymore. I mean, Mike Evans and Gronk, okay, sure. But I don't know. Brady is the type of guy where if the machine isn't working perfectly, he's thrown off. And I think that will definitely affect him with the good pass rushes that are in, the NFC this year. The Cowboys, it's a weird weakness, but I think the weakness this season at least has been Dak. They seem to have an inability to throw the ball downfield, and I don't know what that is. What's your thoughts on
Yep.
the Cowboys?
And they just lost Michael Gallup. Well, you know what? I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think back. I guess without having it in front of me, when they got Michael Gallup back, it really kind of closed. It seemed like it closed off that passing offense for some reason. And obviously, Michael Gallup just tore his ACL, so they're going back to Amari and CeeDee Lamb as. I mean, well, I don't know. I agree. As someone who had Dak Prescott on my fantasy team, yeah, he was not a star for them the last 5 to 6 weeks of the season.
No.
So I don't know. And then their rushing attack has been so weird this year. The balance between Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, it's like I don't know. It's not super efficient, and I just don't see. I don't know. I don't have faith in them either.
Well, I don't know if Zeke is cooked, but I think his days of like the high level player are over. And I think
Yeah,
because he has such a high price
he's not a Tony
tag.
touch.
Oh no, because he's
No.
such a high price tag and this, that, and the third. I feel like Mike McCarthy feels he needs to play him, but I think Pollard's a more effective back, to be honest with you.
I mean, Zeke hasn't been horrible. The usage, like I said, has been weird. Like he still could. There's a good chance with a really good game this week he could pass 1,000 yards on the season.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, 18 games to do it, but it's possible. So I agree though. I think it's definitely got to be Zeke's last year with the team. Side note, I just don't, and I don't know. I know there's all this talk about 2 potential defensive player of the year players on that defense. I don't really trust that defense too much. I I think they could get cooked if they have a matchup against any of these genuinely like pass heavy threat teams. They could easily be in for an interesting game.
Yeah, I completely agree. I also don't think that the Cowboys have had like an insane schedule, when you
Yeah.
when you go back and you look, it's like okay, who did they lose to? Okay, they lost to like the Bucks. They kept the Saints around for a while. I just again, I don't know that the Cowboys like I don't know because they again Chargers they beat, but it was only by 3. You're in such a bad division, and then we have that game against the Broncos that we shouldn't even talk about, where they just got
Raiders game on Thanksgiving.
their hinges blown off. I think the Raiders game hurts the most, because like they won the coin toss in overtime, and you still lose. Like, what's the percentage on that?
With some questionable holding calls throughout that entire game.
Oh, for
Defensive holding.
sure, for sure.
But pass interference, whatever which way it went. No, I mean even this game against Arizona, I think was pretty telling. Like yes, Arizona has their backs against the wall, but that was a team that is super on the downslide recently, without their top 2 offensive threats from the season, minus Kyler Murray, and Dallas still lost. And it's just, I mean, that game, yes, Dak played pretty well. It's probably his most efficient game in a while, but look at that run, look at that rush of Dak. Like it was horrible.
Yeah,
They're so unbalanced. They're such a strange team.
It is such a weird team. Before we move on from the NFC, you got any more points you want to make?
No, I think this Week 18 will be very interesting. I don't know. I like I said, my dad's a Niners fan, so I'm kind of pulling for them, but I'm pulling for you too, man.
Appreciate it, man.
I think it'd be fun to see either team in the playoffs. It'll be fun matchups any which way.
Facts. So moving on to the AFC, the lovely AFC, which I actually think is much more interesting than the NFC going into Week 18, just because there's a lot more like permutation that can go down. So right now, and if you told me this in the beginning of the season, I probably wouldn't believe you. But with the opportunity to clinch the number 1 seed, the Tennessee Titans, this is a team that I do not believe in. I do not believe in this team whatsoever. I would say this is probably one of the worst number 1 seeds that we've maybe ever had. What's your thought on the Tennessee Titans? You know them a lot better than I do.
Yeah. I mean, okay, they've been solid this year. They've gotten like a much better rush attack. I thought they were going to completely fall apart without Derrick Henry.
Mm-hmm.
And they almost did, but Deontay Foreman, who I've always thought super highly of, is like somehow made it almost seem like Derrick Henry never left. And Derrick Henry's going to be practicing tomorrow on Wednesday. I don't think he's going to be playing this week, but they're going to get him back fresh for the playoffs. And I think that is scary and that pisses me off. But I agree. I don't think they're like the strongest number 1 seed we've seen in recent years. But I mean, just they're getting Derrick Henry back, man. The guys, they're getting him back. It's I don't know.
Yeah, no, it
Well,
definitely it'll definitely make a difference. I guess for me, I just look at some of the games they've had against not good quarterbacks and just how unnecessarily close some of these games have been. Like, the 49ers week 16 win by 3 points. You're facing Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, come on now. Jimmy's not that good. Week 15 at Pittsburgh, they lost. They were in control of that game and they threw it away. Oh, okay, they crushed the Jacksonville Jaguars, but who the hell else isn't? And I don't know. I look at this team and I'm
Houston.
like, what makes this team good? I understand they have good rushing numbers and they haven't fallen off too far from where they were. But I don't know, is Ryan Tannehill really gonna outduel fucking Josh Allen or Joe Burrow or Patrick Mahomes? Or hell, even Derek Carr, I don't know. I just think that this roster is good enough to make up for some of Tannehill's shortcomings. But come the later rounds in the playoffs, I do not believe in this team.
No, I don't trust him. But if they're going to get back, I mean, they've already been impressive on the ground without arguably the best running back in the league.
Right.
If they get Derrick Henry back, that's a scary team, man. Ryan Tannehill does not have to be the guy. He's been pretty bad this year, pretty inefficient. I mean, granted, who's he throwing to? AJ Brown's been out. Julio Jones has been a huge bust. I think what makes that team so damn good is Mike Vrabel. And I hate to say it, but man, he is such a good head coach. He makes up for a lot of stuff for that team. It's actually it's entertaining to watch. It's frustrating, but like now they're getting like good upfront or pressure from their front seven, and like their DBs are whatever. I mean, Kevin Byard's playing amazing again finally, but it's an interesting team, man. I really think they're built well to go like on a playoff run. I really do. If you're putting the ball in Ryan Tannehill's hands and asking him to throw for 300 plus yards, I don't know. I wouldn't trust him that much, but I just don't think that they're gonna have to do that.
Yeah, and luckily for them, their last game is a game against the Houston Texans, but
they just lost to Houston.
I was gonna say, but they just lost to Houston, so we're gonna see what happens there. Houston, low key an interesting team this year. I think second most interesting to maybe the Raiders. Anyway, moving on, second seed, which I mean, I guess I understand how they got there, but it's just surprising to me. Kansas City sitting at 11-5. They're the number 1 seed, or they're the number 2 seed due to a tiebreak with the Tennessee Titans because the Tennessee Titans beat them previously in the year. KC is absolutely my number 1 pick to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. What are your thoughts on KC?
Yeah, they bounced back pretty nice. I mean, you can't even really fault them for the game. I mean, you can obviously fault them, but that was like a huge performance, once in a lifetime performance by Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. So I think, yeah, Kansas City, man, it's gonna run through them again, despite whoever they get in the first round. No, I guess they will be playing. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see who falls in that 7th seed.
Yeah,
I think they're a threat no matter what.
Oh, I completely agree. So in the 7th seed, right, you could have it's the Chargers, the Raiders, the Steelers, right? Those are the only teams that can
the
make
Colts
it.
could still fall to the 7th seed as well.
Yeah, I guess due to scheduling. But you guys play the Jags next, right?
We play Jacksonville in Jacksonville, where we have not won since 2014 or 2015.
What?
Yes. Yep. That was their. Remember, they beat us last year, first game of the season, and then they lost like every other game.
Oh, and then they lost every single one. I do remember that.
Yep.
Wow, that's a crazy stat. I had no idea.
No, we've had trouble with Jacksonville. Even when we played them earlier this year, it was one of our, like, Jonathan Taylor tore them up 200, close to 200 yards, if not over 200. They've given us trouble every single year. Like, we played them the week after they played that they beat Buffalo, but we barely beat them by 6 points. And I don't know, Jonathan Taylor only had 116. Not only, but regardless, I'm not like super confident. I think there's a good chance Indy still locks in one of those playoff spots, but it can't be overstated how huge this loss to Las Vegas was this last weekend.
Yeah, because not only are they in pole position to, just climb in the playoffs, but they also prevented you from clinching.
Yep, we could. Yeah, it would have been. Now it's a win and in situation, which I think the Colts and particularly Frank Reich have been pretty good at those kind of situations in the past. Anytime we've had games like that, I genuinely think, and I think they even talked about it, that they just completely overlooked Las Vegas, and I knew they shouldn't have. And granted, we had not 13. It was close to the double digits of players on the COVID list. Carson Wentz didn't get activated till Sunday morning, so he didn't even practice all week. So that surely makes things harder. But that's a factor that we haven't even talked about too. These people getting put on the COVID list, like, that could screw up. I know there's like the 5-day period now, but like, look what happened to Minnesota. Their playoff chances were slim, but they completely disappeared because Kirk Cousins got put. Like, everybody knew there was no chance in hell that Minnesota was going to win that game after Kirk Cousins got put on the COVID list. Like, that happens.
Yeah.
Any team starting quarter, it could happen. I mean, the United States had 1 million new cases yesterday.
Yeah. No, I think, it's really hard not to, like, look at these things and be like Josh Allen could get COVID like a week from now, and like the Bills are fucked. Like, what, you're gonna have Mitch Trubisky start a playoff game? Okay.
Exactly. It could literally happen to any team. So that's a weird thing that we have to kind of consider.
Yeah. So back on the Chiefs, why I think they are by like far and away the best team to win the Super Bowl right now. I think their offensive line issues from last year are fixed. They traded for Orlando. Was it Orlando Brown Jr. or no Orlando? Yeah, cool. I just wanted to make sure. They drafted Creed Humphrey in the 3rd round. He's helped them out a lot. They Who did they signed Joe Tooney from the Patriots? You know, they've made all these moves, and Mahomes
Smith they got in the 6th round, who's been fucking phenomenal this year.
It's like it. This is why the draft just doesn't make sense to me, because some guys, you know, they don't pop off the page with stats or with, you know, physical like skills, but some dudes are just ballers and they're just good at football, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway,
exactly.
not to get too far off track, but their defense is rounding into its own, or has rounded into its own, and they've stacked up some good wins, and most of all, Patrick Mahomes, yo. Are we forgetting that Patrick Mahomes is like actually the best quarterback just in the league?
Forgot.
And I don't know how or why, but I don't know. This is just primed for Mahomes to just like cut through whoever is in that 7th seed, you know, then the next round just I don't know. I think this is a sleeping dragon that is going to be touched, and we're going to, the national media is just going to be like, how could we forget about Patrick Mahomes? You know.
I was very happy that they weren't playing very well in the beginning of the season, but no, I mean this is how it's going to be for years to come, man. And worth noting, they've kind of already gone through some of their COVID troubles, so I think they're set up very well to do well. Unfortunately,
yeah. Moving on. We can kind of do the Bengals and the Bills in the same conversation, because I feel like they're in relatively similar positions aside from one small thing. I think these are both teams that are super, super reliant on their quarterbacks. And the only difference between these two teams, on offense at least, is that the Bills have Josh Allen running and the Bengals have Joe Mixon. Beyond that, you know, their offenses to me look pretty similar, where, you know, you have the 1-star receiver, whether it's, oh my God, I'm blanking. Stephon Diggs, thank you, or Jamar Chase. You know, you have the number one, you have a bunch of like the 2 to 4 position for wide receiver for both these teams are actually really, really solid. You know, you have Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and then on the other side, you know, you have Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, who, you know,
Gabriel Davis has been playing well.
Gabriel Davis balling out, Emmanuel Sanders. Anyway, so I think for both of these teams, they're going to live or die on their quarterback. Yeah.
See, that's why I think that Cincinnati has such a huge advantage in that regard. Like everything you just said, like, yeah, it's Joe Mixon versus Josh Allen, who's obviously probably the Bills' biggest rushing threat. I mean, Devin Singletary just had the best game of his career, but yeah, like the Bengals do, they have 2 1,000-yard receivers, both under 25. They have their 4,000-yard passer rookie.
Did T. Higgins go over 100 yards or go over 1,000 yards?
He's over 1,000. And Tyler Boyd,
oh wow,
he'd have to have a phenomenal game, but he's like 180 yards, 172 yards away from also having 1,000 yards.
Wow.
So I think it's phenomenal, man. Jamar Chase, I think for as much slack as the Bengals got for not taking an offensive lineman right there, I think he shut everybody up fairly quickly.
Oh yes.
Joe Mixon over 1,000 yards. Like Joe Burrow's had arguably the best 2-game stretch of any quarterback ever. I mean, close.
Mm-hmm.
Got to be in that conversation. Has close to like 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, no picks the last 2 weeks against solid teams as well.
Facts.
At least against Kansas City. Jamar Chase, he's just ridiculous. I don't think anybody thought he was going to be this good. Like you said, T. Higgins has almost 1,100 yards.
Wow.
That team's phenomenal. Outside of Buffalo, I don't trust any. Like, yes, Cole Beasley, solid slot. Emmanuel Sanders, solid. Gabe Davis, stepping up. Dawson Knox, stepping up. But they're not going to be premier 1,000-yard guys, and they're not going to rush the ball consistently for over 150, 100 yards. You know what I mean? Like, just offensive-wise, I think Cincinnati is scary. I really do, and I don't even think they've unlocked their potential, if I'm being honest.
No, I think you're completely right. And, you know, on defense, they've got some difference makers. 2 former Saints, Von Bell and Trey Hendrickson, both having very solid seasons. So it's cool to see.
Apple is playing well for them as well. Maybe they found something.
That's right. Everyone always just has to kick the tires on Eli Apple. They're like, can he play? And sometimes
And
he
he's
can.
playing the best year of his career,
Yeah,
surprisingly. He's actually
surprisingly.
playing pretty solid for them.
So now let's sort of move down the pack, and we'll save the Patriots. But for now, actually, let's save the Patriots and the Chargers. But for the Colts, Raiders, and Steelers, because again, I'm pretty sure the Steelers can still make it. Actually,
They have
yeah, they do.
ridiculous. They have a chance, but they need like ridiculous stuff to happen.
So, yeah, for the Colts, Raiders, and Steelers, it's sort of the veteran quarterback. I think Ben, Derek Carr, and Carson Wentz are all sort of on a sliding scale. I think they're all on the same spectrum, just different ends of it. Yeah. So as a Colts fan, I feel like I should let you have this one. Like, who would you like rather see in the first round if you're the Colts right now?
Right now, the Colts are slated to play Cincinnati, and like based off of everything I just said, this is the one team I don't want to play. I think. I mean, I'd be fine playing. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know how things will line up. Like, I'd be fine playing anybody else if I'm being honest. We already beat New England. Colts already beat Buffalo. KC. I would like to not play them, but I think that could. I think. I think
I
it would
think you
be an
guys are
interesting
built to
game.
beat them.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting game. I think the Colts are literally built to beat anybody, in all honesty, but they just got to be focused, man. Like that Oakland game was, I mean, the Las Vegas game was pretty bad, but I think maybe it happened at a good time. I think it's a little interesting when people say like, "Oh, we needed to get that loss out of the way," but I genuinely think that you get that out of your way. Like the Colts were what 5-1 in the last 6 games coming into that game, so I don't know if they were just riding a high and just thought they were one of the best teams in the NFL. Like they were getting a lot of praise, rightfully so. They were playing great over these last 2 months, but I think maybe it was a good time to lose. Now it puts the Colts at a win and in situation against Jacksonville, but still, it's never fun to be in that situation going into last week. But I think the Colts could genuinely go on a run. I mean, like Jonathan Taylor, they're gonna feed him the ball. He's getting boxes stacked against him, and he's still having phenomenal games. So as long as they can do that, play some solid defense, and as long as Carson Wentz doesn't get too erratic and doesn't screw up too much, definitely have a chance.
Where do you stand on Carson Wentz right now?
I think he's fine for what it's worth. I think he's in a weird situation. Like the Colts have second or third to last in terms of yards after the catch in the season. I think the only two teams that were worse than them were, I want to say, Las Vegas and New Orleans, in all honesty. But Michael Pittman over 1,000 yards, phenomenal season. But I still don't think he's a number one receiver. Like he is a solid number two. They need another perimeter guy. Like we might get Paris Campbell back this year, but no faith in that guy to do anything because he's always hurt and he just hasn't shown too much. But like nobody outside of Michael Pittman has stepped up and done anything for the Colts. Zach Pascal, huge disappointment. Ty, huge disappointment. All three of our tight ends, huge disappointment. Like there's no receiving threats for that team. Nobody's scared. Everybody knows how the Colts are going to play that game. They're going to run the ball to JT, and it's easy to kind of defend against it. Luckily, the Colts have like Jonathan Taylor's so good that he can kind of get past that. But I like Carson Wentz. I think he's done okay. I think he's done enough. He still only has 6 turnovers or 6 interceptions, I should say, on the season. He's doing enough to not lose the Colts the game. I think another full off season, because he didn't really practice this off season because of his ankle situation. Like a full off season to get another weapon in there, I think would be very beneficial to this team.
Word, I can see it.
It sucks to lose the first rounder, but I think look like what are the other options? You know what I mean? Like
yeah, no, I completely agree. Because it's like you're in the playoffs and it feels like this is an upgrade over Phillip Rivers.
Phillip Rivers had a good season last year. I really think so. He didn't lose too many games. I mean, he threw a good amount of picks, but Phillip Rivers was fun to watch last year. I really enjoyed last season.
When the report came out, sorry, what were you gonna say?
No, go for it.
when the report came out that the Saints tried to lure Phillip Rivers out of retirement, I kind of got excited. I was like, oh, Phillip Rivers, like that would be fun.
That would have been fun to watch. I think the Colts did the same thing when Carson got COVID, but Philip Rivers is just one of those guys that you like to see in the league, whether you hate him or like him. He's just entertaining. I don't know. I think you give Carson another full season.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's been solid though. Like I think you can win a Super Bowl with Carson Wentz at quarterback.
I could see it.
Sucks because like every Sunday, every multiple times a week, it happens more than once a week. I get on Twitter and Andrew Luck's trending. It's just so sad. It breaks my heart. Like today was the gosh, it was the 8-year anniversary of the AFC wildcard game against the Chiefs. I don't know if you remember that game.
Oh, I will never forget the
Donald Brown fumble where he picks it up and Superman dives over the end zone. Yeah, yep. Today was the anniversary of that, so it was an emotional day for me.
No, that's totally legit.
It'll be interesting though. I think the AFC probably is a little bit more definitive in terms of like who comes out of that first round at least.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's as much of a toss-up as the NFC is. I really don't.
Word. I agree because I think, I just, when I look at the standings and I look at the teams that are going to play, just Kansas City just stares at me, man. Like I know I've said it this episode, but like, oh my God, how does Kansas City not just make quick work of all these teams? Anyway, we'll find out, right?
Yeah.
So moving on to the final part, we're just gonna hit some little lightning round thing here, and we'll just do little questions and we'll get on out of here. Sound good?
Sounds good, man.
Okay, so right now, who is your biggest season surprise? Whatever that means to you, what is your biggest season surprise?
I think it's got to be Cooper Kupp. I did not. I mean, I think he was solid, but I did not think he was going to be in a position. Granted, one more game, but I did not think he was going to be. I didn't think he was going to emerge as arguably the best receiver in the NFL, or at least come close to touching Calvin Johnson's record. I think he's
18-game season. Just saying.
Yeah, that's what I said. One more game, granted, but it's still. I mean, it'll go down in the record books as that. So.
Yeah.
He's had a phenomenal season. One of the best we've ever seen from a wide receiver. I did not expect that from him.
Word. For me, I think it's either the Titans being like stellar or maybe the Seahawks just being just terrible. I don't know which one it is for me. But yeah, I think Titans being the number 1 seed it's actually such an accomplishment, for so many years. They went like 4 or 5 years in a row being 9-7, and to be on to greater pastures is pretty cool. As you said, great for Mike Vrabel. Geez. Most disappointing team for your opinion.
You just hit on it, Seattle, big time.
Yeah.
I knew that rain. I mean, the rain was going to come to an end sooner or later. Excuse me, but they started out hot. And then, of course, Russell Wilson got hurt and never really looked the same since he came back. I mean, DK Metcalf started out super hot, and Tyler Lockett. Both of them kind of dwindled off a little bit. I mean, Chris Carson got hurt once again. That defense is just not there.
Yeah.
We're probably looking at a whole new regime, top to bottom, I think, starting maybe as soon as next year. For a team that maybe had Super Bowl aspirations coming into the year.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I'm excited to see it. For me, I think my most disappointing team, and they're not even sub 500, but the Dolphins. I just thought they really fleeced the Texans on that trade for Laramie Tunsil. And they had so much draft ammunition, and nothing's really come of it. I thought Tua would take a step, but he kind of just looks like himself. They Did they win a ton of games in a row? Totally, for sure. But they also started off 1-7.
First team to ever have a
So
7-game losing streak and a 7-game winning streak in the same season.
nutty.
That's
nutty.
the reason why I'm not super disappointed. I'm like, yeah, starting off, yeah, they were a potential playoff team last year and they were 1-7 at one point, but they showed that they could compete, and I think that was enough to at least give them a little bit of a pass in my mind.
Also, maybe not most disappointed because of how they were last year, but I'm disappointed in the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, it could have been so fun, like Urban Meyer at the controls, T-Law coming in, Tim Tebow catching touchdowns. It was there. The narratives were written before they were even established, but
I thought it was gonna be a shit show from the beginning.
And hey, you were right. 2-14 right now, and just glaring at the number 1 overall pick, thanks to Detroit tying with Pittsburgh. Yeah. Anyway, coach for you who is gone this offseason, and there's a couple of. I actually think there's a lot of good answers here.
I have a couple of them.
Not that I wish for people to lose their jobs. We're just, we're the media. This is what we do.
It's gonna happen. Yeah, seven coaches fired this year. I think it'll probably be roughly around that number. Okay, this is a guy I think you probably talked about last time we did this podcast, and I probably pushed back on it, but I think after the last week I'm leaning that way.
I think I know who you're gonna say. Yep, Mike Zimmer. Yep.
He's gonna be gone, man. I don't like how he handled this Kirk Cousins thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Sean Mannion, it was not a good showing, and they have Kellen Mond, like an intriguing rookie quarterback sitting right there. You're out of the playoffs. Why not see what you got with him? And he just gave such a cold answer when some a media person asked about playing.
I actually think I saw that clip.
Yeah, they just asked about playing him. They said, "Are we going to?"
And he was like, "He's on the bench," or like he said some shit like that.
I see him enough throughout the week, or something like that.
Yeah.
They said, "Are you going to get a look at him?" And he said, "Nope, I see him enough throughout the week." And I think it's just dumb. I don't know. I don't know. What's Sean Mannion, an 8-year veteran who just threw his first touchdown? What's he gonna? I never understood that. Like, what's he gonna give to you that? Like, why not see what you got in Kellen Mond?
Exactly.
Maybe it doesn't matter because Kirk Cousins is making $45 million next year. $45 million cap is, so you're gonna be stuck with Kirk Cousins next year anyway. But like, come on, like, why not see what you got in that young rookie? I think that team was a disappointment as well. So I think, as much as I do think he is a good coach, I think it's just I don't see it going anywhere.
Yeah, no, totally.
Excuse me.
For me, I think just to name a few names, I think Vic Fangio's days are numbered.
He's good.
I actually think he's, of the current head coaches in the AFC, I think he's the only one who will potentially be fired. Yeah, because you look at the list and there's either already an interim head coach or just a rookie head coach.
I mean, granted, the two coaches who've already been let go, or AFC teams. I can't really think of anybody else who I think will be let go from the AFC. I mean, it'd be interesting to see who fills those two spots in Las Vegas and Jacksonville. I don't know if you saw the report today that said that there's rumors that Jim Harbaugh might be interested in going to Las Vegas.
And I saw that Jim Caldwell is being interviewed by Jacksonville.
I love Jim Caldwell, man. I think he's a good head coach, okay? I genuinely do.
Oh, I mean, shit, Jim Caldwell took the Colts to a Super Bowl.
Yes.
Lest we forget.
Strapped with a shit. I mean, granted, that was Tim Dungy's team, pretty much. But he was also strapped on like a horrible Detroit team, and he took them to the playoffs. He gave them their first playoff appearance in a long time. I think Jim Caldwell is a good head coach. But I don't know, man. It's not a sexy option. I think you got to go with somebody that they are trying to interview that I think is intriguing is Kellen Moore. I think he'll be a good head coach. I really do. But regardless, I guess all the other candidates, right? Matt Rule, Matt Nagy, Pete Carroll. Those are all the NFC teams that might have a good shakeup.
Yeah,
Joe
yeah, you look at the NFC right now, and it's like Giants need a new head coach. Panthers are probably going to get a new head coach. Seattle
I don't
needs a new
know
head
though. Do
coach.
you really think Matt Rule's gone? I mean, he screwed up big time, and I think he squandered. I don't know. I think it's more on Dave Tapper. Like that situation has been shit for years. Like the quarterback. I think you and I talked about it.
Yeah.
The rotating quarterback room that they've had for like the last 3-4 seasons has been ridiculous.
Yeah, it's either been like injured Cam Newton, Teddy Bridgewater for like a handful of games, Sam Darnold, and then the replacement parts. Yeah, I don't know. For me, like Tepper came out, I think it was like on Thursday or Wednesday, and he was like, "Yep, I have buyer's remorse," and I was like, he publicly is saying that. Like Matt Rule,
Well, that's a stupid comment.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
know how
I think it was asinine to say that, but I still think I think Tepper still has like new owner syndrome, and he's like, I have instant regrets, and he thinks he's seeing long term, but his long term is actually the team's short term, and blah 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 blah. Yeah, so I think those gentlemen will be looking for a new job. On the opposite side of the spectrum, coach of the year, who you got?
I think there's a couple that stands out. I think Mike Vrabel.
Yep.
Typically, I mean, unless the team overachieves like crazy, or unless that happens, it's likely going to go to the 1 seed. And Matt LaFleur should probably be up there too, but you kind of probably give a little bit more credit to Aaron Rodgers for that. So Mike Vrabel's been phenomenal this year. Had you asked me last week, I probably would have put Frank Reich up there as well. After their start, I genuinely would have, but I think that loss kind of dampens things a bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I totally agree with. I almost said Rule. With Vrabel, I totally agree with Matt LaFleur. I also think you got to look a little more towards the weeds. I think Sean Payton this year doing what he has done with the quarterbacks he has had to coach. I think that's pretty incredible. I think Belichick needs to be talked about. I think Zach Taylor as well. I don't love him, and he had me almost literally pulling my hair out with his late game time decisions against Kansas City. But hey, win's a win, so I'm not here to talk shit. MVP, who you got?
JT for MVP still. I know it's not going to happen at this point unless he pops off and has a game like how he had against Bills, 200 yards, multiple touchdowns. I think he's been phenomenal the entire season. Like this last Sunday was the first week that the Colts lost where he had over 100 yards. Like it just goes to show, for the most part, for like 90% of the year, they've gone how he's gone, and they've gone on an incredible win streak. I think I already know who you're gonna say. Who's MVP for you?
Man, for so long it was Tom Brady, and then the Saints actually just like kicked the shit out of him. So I think it's Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
So best player on the best team.
Okay, I agree. I mean, I that's gonna be what happens. Aaron Rodgers is gonna win MVP again. It's already being talked about. Like it's already a confirmed thing.
Yeah.
But again, that just goes back to being a quarterback. It's a quarterback award, man. Like Aaron Rodgers, is he having a good year? Yeah. Is he having a good 2-year span? Probably one of the best we've ever seen. I saw something since the Packers drafted Jordan Love. He's had like 81 touchdowns and was like 9 picks or something ridiculous like that. But this guy is the guy who won MVP last year. He had 40 plus touchdowns, like 3 interceptions, something ridiculous like that. Like he's having a good year, but I mean, let's like if we're gonna look at the stats, granted he missed 1 game because of COVID. He's not even in the top. What is he? He's 9th in the league in passing yards. Hasn't even officially cracked 40,000 yet. He's not even. He's like tied for 3rd right now with touchdowns. He has 2 more people in front of him who have more touchdowns than him. I mean.
No, the narrative is flowing though.
But can you say he's the MVP when he's not even in the top I mean, outside of touchdown to interception ratio, like he's not leading the league in passing yards. He's not leading the league in passing touchdowns. Granted, yeah, like I said, his interception rate is ridiculously low. His team's the best team in the NFC, maybe in the NFL. But like, I don't know. I just have a hard time.
I totally agree with you. I just think he's gonna win it because, as you say, it's a quarterback award. If it's up to me, I'd have given it to, I don't know, I would maybe JT. I think Cooper Kupp deserves a lot more love than he's getting. Hell, I think Joe Burrow deserves more love than he's getting.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree with that. I think there's been a couple quarterbacks. Like, I mean, like if to me, if it's based off a quarterback thing, like I still think Tom Brady is having a better season.
Yeah.
And I think you take into account what his, like how old the guy is. Like, it's interesting that the conversation like has already shifted. I mean, I think the Colts loss probably did hurt Jonathan Taylor. He still had an extremely efficient game. Scored again, had over 100 yards, broke the record for the most rushing yards in Colts history. Broke Edgerrin James's record. He has 500 more rushing yards than the next guy next to him, or than the guy behind him. He has. I saw something today that he has more yards after contact than Joe Mixon has rushing yards.
Oh my God.
So he has like 1,200 yards after contact, which and the next rusher behind him is Joe Mixon with 1,205. Jonathan Taylor had 1,213. So like he literally, if you just take his yards just after contact, it still leads the league in rushing yards. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. I think the guy, he has over 2,000 purpose yards. He has over 20 touchdowns. He still has one more game.
So nutty.
And last year, I think it was week 17, he had over 200 rushing yards against the Jaguars. So let's see if it could happen again. I think he's having a phenomenal year. And like his usage is high, but it's still not as high as we were seeing Derrick Henry. Like, I think that was one of the biggest things that I kept seeing is, can you give Jonathan Taylor MVP when Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 last year and didn't get it? But I think Aaron Rodgers was having a better season last year than he did this year, so I think that made it a little harder. I mean, I'm a Colts fan, man. I'm gonna go down with the ship, but I genuinely think that he's deserving. I really do.
Yeah, no, I hope he at least gets some votes. I'll say that.
When do the awards come out? Or do they come out in the week, like Pro Bowl week? Or when did they give finalists?
I thought it was like the Sunday after the Super Bowl. They do like the NFL awards. Or no, wait, it's the Saturday before the Super Bowl. They do the NFL awards ceremony, which I think is the most obnoxious thing ever. But
you think they should wait till after the Super Bowl?
No, what was wrong with the old format of just like finding out and then, the fans get to celebrate their player at a home game and yeah.
I think it'd be interesting, like if either team has, say the Packers get bounced in the first round of the playoffs and Aaron Rodgers has a shit first game. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's weird. I don't know how much they consider playoff performance. Like, I mean, it's somewhat shifting topics, but like the Pro Bowl, I hate that they announce it. What did they announce it 2 weeks ago? There's still like 2-3 weeks left in the season. I think that's so stupid.
Yeah.
When someone could pop off, someone could have a shit last half of the season, and it could change the whole trajectory of their season. So it'll be interesting. I think it's already locked, which sucks. But hey, phenomenal season regardless.
One last question for you. Biggest upset prediction of the first round of the playoffs?
I think whoever is the 7th seed in the NFC is going to win, whether it be San Fran, Philly, or New Orleans.
Wow.
If it's the Rams, then I'd hammer that. I'd double it. I just think it's like all three of those teams are like prime teams to upset somebody, and if they're playing like somebody like the Rams or the Bucks, it could happen. I think it could happen. Tampa's not looking good, man. They barely beat the Jets last week.
All right. Thank you. That was actually gonna be my prediction, but anyway, that's no problem. Before we go, I just just want to mention it, just a quick minute. Yesterday I was at the Nets game and Antonio Brown was there, so that was very interesting.
So they really didn't let him fly back, huh?
They what?
I said they really didn't let him fly back with the team, did they?
No, but he's still on the team. As of today's waiver wire, he is still on the team.
What do you think the reason for that is?
Tom Brady.
Do you think they're trying to find him for like conduct detrimental to the team, or you really think there's a chance he's still part of the roster?
Yes. After the vaccination thing, when Bruce Arians was at first like, no, like, any one slip up and he's gone. And then after like that debacle, I was like, oh, okay. So like this is Tom Brady's guy, so he's gonna cape for him super hard. And the Bucs want to keep Tom Brady happy. So I think he stays. I actually think we maybe see a playoff appearance.
I think there's no way in hell that he ever plays a single snap for anybody ever again. That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen in my entire time watching football. It was awesome to see. It's funny as like not a fan of Tampa Bay or Antonio Brown, but interesting. I guess it is interesting that he's still on. He hasn't been waived or let go from the team whatsoever in any capacity, but I don't know. That's interesting. I thought something like that, even that would be too much for Tom Brady to kind of get through in the past.
Well, we will find out in the coming days.
Guy sold the soul, so you don't trust anything from Tom Brady. Don't doubt anything.
Exactly. All right, AJ, appreciate you for coming on. Thanks for chopping it up. And we're gonna do this again after the first round of the playoffs, or maybe for the first round of the. No, this is our sort of playoff preview, so I guess the second round. Yeah, man. Thanks for taking time out of your day.
Of course. I'll talk to you soon, man.
Appreciate you, man. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye. And that was our playoff preview. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Very much enjoyed chopping it up with AJ. We wanted to get it out this week just because we know that there is going to be a lot next week doing the same thing. And since most of the seedings are, you can have an idea for most of the matchups, we decided to run with it this week. Anyway, if you haven't already, make sure you are following on Instagram, following on Twitter at plan_C_podcast. Make sure you're following us on Spotify, subscribed on Apple. Drop us a review. Why not? Costs $0.99 to do it. So, why not? Not even $0.99, just $3.99. You feel me? Make sure you are checking us out on YouTube. We stream there every Friday. Looking forward to the first stream of the week, or first stream of the year, this next Friday. And, again, Happy New Year. Hope everyone is staying safe. Appreciate everyone who continues to hang in. And, y'all have a good one. See ya.